They then laughed at Ding Hong and his group because even though there were 3 of them but they didn't even manage to steal the monsters from Qianmo, they were very satisfied to see that Ding Hong and his group had been very arrogant and arbitrary all this time, so this was the revenge. Ding Hong was then very angry to see that. Zhao Yener then tried to calm him down and asked him not to be rash. The damage produced by Qianmo was even higher than the combined damage of the 3 of them, so they had to be a little careful. Ding Hong was silent for a moment hearing that and seemed to realize that too. He then invited his group to leave. Before leaving, he did not forget to throw threatening words to Qianmo, but Qianmo then said, "Did I say you can leave?" They immediately broke out in a cold sweat after feeling a different pressure from Qianmo. Ding Hong then nervously asked, "He has stolen all the monsters, and they also allowed him to have this spot. So what does he want?" Qianmo said, "Simple. He will give them 1 minute, and told them to take out all the items they got. If not, he threatened to kill them all here." They were then very angry to hear that. Sunway Jun then cast his fire magic. He felt that Qianmo had gone too far. Even though he knew Qianmo's damage was higher than the 3 of them combined, he would still fight even if his life was at stake, and don't think he could take everything from him. They were then surprised when they saw Sunway Jun casting exploding fireball magic. He really deserved to have entered the top 10 university. He really learned such high-level skills in just a year. Although they felt that Qianmo's current strength was strong enough, in the end he was just a vagrant. They were not optimistic that he could withstand such a powerful attack, and when the casting of exploding fireball magic was about to finish, they were then surprised when they saw Qianmo did not move and just stood still. If he just waited until Sunway Jun finished casting, it would be more difficult to deal with. Sunway Jun, who saw that, instead felt that Qianmo was so scared that he couldn't even move a bit. Just now he still believed that he was very strong. But now he felt that Qianmo was just an ordinary person with no real fighting experience, and the casting of exploding fireball magic was then completed, and he then threw it towards Qianmo. Seeing that, Qianmo then used the weapon switching skill to change his weapon into boxing gloves. He then used the boxer's pre-skill, dive, and took the initiative to move towards the fireball. He then used explosive punch and punched the fireball, which successfully dispersed it and made Sunway Jun thrown back, but Qianmo's attack didn't stop there. He then used a sidestep to quickly get behind Sunway Jun, and he then used a flying kick which succeeded in throwing Sunway Jun back. They could only be stunned to see that, but it wasn't enough to make Sunway Jun fall. He then tried to get back up and challenged Qianmo to fight again. But Ding Hong then immediately told him to be quiet. Did he want to continue to embarrass himself? He then took Sunway Jun's storage bag, and handed it along with his and Zhao Yener's to Qianmo. He also asked Qianmo to forgive their behavior. Qianmo was happy about it. After checking it, he found out that all the storage bags had a total of 120 taels. This helped him save a few hours of his time. He then allowed them to leave now. Seeing Ding Hong and his group running away, they were all very happy when they saw it. They were also surprised that a vagrant could really defeat a group of students from a top university. They had never seen a vagrant this amazing. They then begged Qianmo to form a team with them, but his friend quickly realized them. She knew that Qianmo only aimed to collect items here. She then told her friends to get out of the way and make way for Qianmo. They then realized that, and took the initiative to leave. Qianmo just looked at their behavior with a faint smile on his lips, exactly the same as in his previous world. In the mainland of Apocalypse, the strong are the ones who rule. He was happy to see them take the initiative to leave, because it would make it easier for him to collect the items he needed to complete the mission. There were 2 types of materials he needed to complete the hidden mission, including 400 sea turtle tails, and the perfect black bamboo fishing rod. After collecting until dusk, he now only needed 239 more. He felt like he would work hard all night. On the second day, after fighting all night, Qianmo finally managed to collect 400 taels. He could only sit down because he was so exhausted. He felt that this mission really deserved to be a hidden mission, because to complete it really took a lot of energy. But he was grateful that at least he still leveled up. After farming all night, he now reached level 15. His overall combat power also became 10225. He used all his unassigned stat points on agility, which made his agility now finally reach 100, with a combat power of 10,000. He was worried that this achievement could not even be achieved by many college students in their first year. Now everything is ready. It's time for him to complete the mission and get that novice weapon. At Moling University, They then asked Ding Hong, "Is it really necessary to make a fuss just to deal with the vagrant?" Ding Hong then snapped at him, "Although he is a college student like them, his movement skill is really extraordinary, to finish him off thoroughly. They must not be rash." Stunned by the strength Qianmo showed, Ding Hong and his group even thought he was a college student like them. Ding Hong then asked, "How about the task he assigned to them?" They said that they had found someone to watch Qianmo. They had also contacted 30 first-year students who were ready to help. Ding Hong was happy to hear that and praised their performance. Now they were only missing one more person. Hearing that, Zhao Yener then asked, "Did he mean the province's top scorer Gu Yunfei?" Ding Hong confirmed that. It was said that not only did he have S-rank talent, abundant magic power, he also within 1 year, he reached level 21 in one breath and became the undisputed strongest new student. But Sunway Jun was worried because he heard there were rumors circulating that he was arrogant and won't do anything as a favor for anyone else. He doubted whether Ding Hong could recruit such a person, but Ding Hong wasn't worried about it at all. He didn't believe there would be anyone who refused money. If he said he wasn't interested in money, it meant you just needed to add more money, and when they just entered into a room, a burning fire suddenly appeared. They could only be stunned to see it. Ding Hong then clapped his hands and praised him. No wonder he became Moling University's #1 Heaven's Pride. He didn't expect he could use exploding fireball magic so well. As the smoke dissipated, they could then see a person standing on the pillar in front of them. That person was Gu Yunfei. He was a little surprised by their presence because it had been a few months since anyone had come to visit. He then asked what was the purpose of the young master of the richest family in Tianhai coming here. Ding Hong then said, since he knew him, he would be frank. He had a combat plan here, and wanted to invite him to come along, but before Ding Hong could even finish his words, Gu Yunfei immediately said that he was not interested. Ding Hong was then anxious to hear that. He then said that he did not come here with a free favor. He also asked if he was going to undergo the second class change. He could give him all the resources he needed to undergo the class change. But Gu Yunfei's answer did not change. He once again refused his offer. Seeing Gu Yunfei who was about to leave, Ding Hong felt panic and immediately asked him not to leave. He then blurted out, to be honest, he was planning to ask for his help this time to teach someone a lesson, and he would agree to any conditions he put forward. Zhao Yener also responded that they were bullied mercilessly by that man yesterday, and he was only a level 14 student. That man's strength was unfathomable, to the point that even the combined strength of the three of them was not enough to be his opponent. But Gu Yunfei still looked uninterested and told them to step aside. Ding Hong was annoyed at that. He then said, "That man is a vagrant." Gu Yunfei's steps instantly stopped after hearing that. He seemed to be interested after hearing that the man mentioned by Ding Hong was a vagrant. He found this interesting. Originally he thought all the students in the whole province with the same class were all trash, but this time he finally met an opponent that interested him. In order to get fishing equipment, Qianmo then went to the Zhou family fishing equipment shop. After ringing the shop bell, he then called the shopkeeper and asked for the best products. Collecting the tails was just the first step of the hidden mission. Now, he needed to get a good set of fishing equipment. Fortunately he got about 100 gold coins from those three idiots. Seeing his arrival, the shopkeeper didn't even get up from his seat. He then lazily asked Qianmo to check all the items on the price list himself. So once he found out what he wanted, he asked him to tell him and he would get it for him. The shopkeeper just thought that Qianmo was just an ignorant layman with a lot of money. You should know that the most important thing is that the fishing tackle should match the fishing bait, so only a layman would come and ask for the most expensive product. After looking at the items on the price list, Qianmo then said that the quality of the fishing rod and bait was not too high. He then asked the shopkeeper to give him an exquisite black bamboo fishing rod, and add 10 high-grade bloodworms. The shopkeeper was then very surprised when he heard that, because in just less than a minute, he chose the most suitable equipment in the entire store. In addition, listening to his tone, it seems that he has found a better fishing rod before. The shopkeeper then immediately rushed to get up. He felt that Qianmo might be an experienced person, but he felt surprised. Even if he had started fishing since the womb, it was still impossible for him to have such extensive fishing knowledge. The shopkeeper then introduced himself. His name was Zhou He, and considering Qianmo had a unique way of doing things, he then asked could it be that he came from a prominent fishing family in Apocalypse. Qianmo replied no, fishing was just his hobby. He felt like this shopkeeper had misunderstood. In his previous world, This item was the most optimal starter equipment that almost everyone had. The shopkeeper could see that he had a good eye. He then gave him an offer. He would give him a discount on everything he wanted, so he would only take 10 gold coins, he thought, although Qianmo was not from a prominent fishing family. He is definitely not an ordinary person, so he seized this opportunity to make friends with him. He then enthusiastically asked Qianmo if in the future he gets any good items, he can come here to sell them, and he guarantees he won't get any loss. Somewhere in the coastal area, there are seen a lot of people who are hunting monsters. There is also Qianmo. He then looked at a direction along the sea. Now he had the sea turtle tails and fishing gear. He only lost one thing. He remembered in his past, on the small island there, every 72 hours, a new rare boss would appear. Although it was not too far from the novice village, but most novices would not be able to face the boss, so there will be very few people who set foot there. What he needs is the item drop from that rare boss, which allows him to breathe underwater, to ensure the success of the disappearing dark shadow mission. This item is an indispensable part. The people there were shocked when they saw Qianmo, who suddenly jumped into the sea. You should know that the limit for anyone in the mainland apocalypse to stay underwater is only 2 minutes. If this time limit is missed, you will receive damage equivalent to 10% of your maximum health every second, so no matter how much health you have, you can last at most 10 seconds before drowning. Moreover, being in the sea would attract many monsters, coupled with the cruel death penalty in the mainland of Apocalypse. Under ordinary circumstances, no one would dare to enter the sea rashly. Therefore they were shocked and they saw Qianmo suddenly jump into the sea. They were also amazed by his bravery, and wondered if he was not afraid of encountering unknown monsters. The incident was also witnessed by 2 mysterious siblings. The younger brother then asked his brother, "Everyone is talking about the dangers of entering the sea, so should they still enter and follow him?" The older brother said, "Wealth and honor are obtained in dangerous situations. The payment from Zhao Yener that she promised after they succeeded is enough for them to live comfortably for many years." He also heard that in this sea area, there are not many dangerous monsters. He then invited his brother to enter together. After getting assurance from his brother, he then accepted his invitation. On a small island in the shattered archipelago, there were 2 mysterious brothers who were following Qianmo silently. The elder brother then invited his younger brother to follow Qianmo until here, because this island is so small that even if you run a lap around it, it won't take 10 minutes. Besides, if they come closer, they will risk being discovered. Since Zhao Yener had given them so much money, so he felt that Qianmo's strength must not be underestimated. So he then told his younger brother to never get into direct conflict with him. His younger brother understood. He felt that as long as they hid behind this rock, there was no way he could escape their sight. Once he decided to return, somewhere on the island, there was an altar with a strange circle of blue liquid with towering stones surrounding it. That was where Qianmo's destination was. He then stepped on the blue liquid, which resulted in a large greenish liquid appearing in front of him. Seeing that, Qianmo felt that his luck was pretty good. He then took out the novice staff from the inventory. The greenish liquid then gathered to form a slime-like creature. The creature was sticky radioactive dust, a level 18 elite monster. Qianmo then cast the magic and used it to attack the monster. Qianmo's attack succeeded in blowing up part of the monster's body, but the body parts then regrouped and the monster looked like it had never received any damage at all. The monster then attacked Qianmo using its slime liquid. It was not an ordinary attack because it had corrosive properties, but it could be avoided easily by Qianmo. But the attack did not stop there. The monster then continuously attacked Qianmo using its slime liquid, but it could be avoided quite easily by Qianmo. If he remembered correctly, being hit by corrosive mud would cause him to experience a 30% decrease in speed, along with a damage reduction of 50 points to produce a double debuff that can still be stacked many times. If he was hit once with his current attack power, he would immediately lose more than half of his damage. So this is not something he can afford. He then replaced his weapon with a longsword using weapon switching, and attacked using a ripple slash. He attacked the monster continuously using a ripple slash, causing damage to hundreds with each attack. The monster was then very angry after receiving his continuous attacks. It then spread green gas around. This was a radioactive cloud, and once he was exposed to the poison, his health would continue to decrease every second. He then changed the weapon to a Gatling gun. The monster excelled in using various AoE skills, which made it difficult to perform melee attacks. but the monster had a very noticeable weakness, that is, it had a slow movement speed, so Qianmo took advantage of this, and bombarded it using the Gatling gun. His shots also continuously triggered the Gatling gun passive. The monster was surprised by his sudden change of attack, but Qianmo's target was not the monster but the rock behind it. The monster was then shocked and the large rock behind it was about to fall on it, and until finally the rock then fell and caused a very powerful effect. Qianmo was happy because his plan was successful. An item suddenly appeared behind the ruins of the stone. The item was a water vine staff with extraordinary quality. The item could make the user breathe underwater indefinitely. He was very happy because he finally managed to get what he was looking for. Now all his preparations were complete. It was time for him to go fishing for the disappearing dark shadow. What happens in the future will be a difficult and fierce battle. After all, it is the strongest hidden boss in the novice village. All the preparations he made earlier are to increase his chances of completing this mission. He is also aware of the existence of the two mysterious people who have been following him since yesterday, but he didn't worry about it at all. He would keep them waiting for him there, and he then returned by diving into the sea. He now didn't have to worry about running out of breath in the water because he had obtained the water vine staff. While the two mysterious people had become impatient after waiting for 4 hours without success, the younger brother asked if he ran away. But his brother immediately denied it. He felt that it was impossible. There was only a large sea on the other side of this island, so if he wanted to return to land, he could only go this way. The younger brother then asked why they didn't go up and see it. Could it be that there were monsters up there that had killed him? He also felt that it made sense, but when they checked the whole island, they were surprised because they couldn't find any trace of Qianmo. They were confused about how he could escape. They then felt very scared because Qianmo really disappeared right in front of their eyes. At the shuttered archipelago fishing spot, Qianmo then went there after all his preparations were done. Next, he needed to fish to trigger the last part of this mission. From what he remembered, the disappearing dark shadow fishing spot should be here, but he was then surprised when he saw a middle-aged man had already taken the fishing spot there. He was then surprised again when he could not even see the level and class of the middle-aged man, which means the level difference between the two of them is very large. The middle-aged man also seemed to be aware of his presence. He then asked if he also came here to fish. He also told Qianmo to come here, he would provide a spot for him. Qianmo was silent for a moment hearing that and became alert. The middle-aged man then told him to be careful, because he could easily defeat him with his current strength. He didn't forbid Qianmo to fish here. If he wanted to, he could come here and sit down. Hearing that, Qianmo then walked over and took a seat nearby. But even so he thought of fishing just a little bit until the middle-aged man left, then he would complete the mission. Seeing Qianmo's behavior, the middle-aged man felt that he was a pretty brave kid. He wasn't arrogant or humble, nor did he embarrass himself in front of him. 2 minutes later, Qianmo was happy after finally catching an 8-pound carp. He felt quite lucky to get an 8-pound carp in his first try. In his old world, his fishing skills were always regarded as one of the best. And the middle-aged man also felt Qianmo was just lucky after seeing that. 1 minute later, Qianmo caught another fish. This time he caught a 9.5-pound red maple. The middle-aged man was then shocked when he saw Qianmo caught 2 fish in a short time, and 2 minutes later, Qianmo caught another fish. The surprise given by Qianmo was beyond words for the middle-aged man. He had been fishing here for half a day and still hadn't caught anything, so he was very confused when he saw that Qianmo could catch a fish so easily, but the surprise given by Qianmo didn't stop there. He then continued to catch another fish. The middle-aged man never thought that even during the years he dominated the fishing world, he would meet a genius like him here. He then humbly asked Qianmo to teach him some tricks. He would be very grateful for that. Hearing his praise, Qianmo then humbly said that he was too much. He was also surprised at the skills that were even worse than a beginner. The middle-aged man still dared to say he had dominated the fishing world for many years. He wondered if this was what they meant by a passionate beginner. Even so, Qianmo then gave the middle-aged man some fishing tips. After listening to some of his tips, the middle-aged man then praised him highly. He is so young, he has so much knowledge in the field of fishing, it is something very admirable. But, according to his observation, not only his fishing skills were outstanding, but his individual abilities seemed to be much greater. He then decided to test him. Qianmo was then surprised when the middle-aged man suddenly wanted to attack him. He then immediately retreated and took out his Gatling gun. Seeing that, the middle-aged man then asked, "Why did he choose the vagrant path?" Qianmo just casually replied, "He can't take this path." The middle-aged man didn't underestimate him after knowing he chose the vagrant class. With his unparalleled talent, even if Qianmo walked on the vagrant path, he was destined to reach heights that most people could only dream of. He then offered Qianmo to become his disciple. Qianmo was then surprised to hear his offer, but he then respectfully declined because he wanted to go his own way, since he had already made his decision. The middle-aged man did not try to force him, but if there was a day when he changed his decision, his door would always be open to him. He then gave Qianmo a ring. If he was in trouble, he told him not to hesitate to contact him at the Management Association whenever he needed it, while Qianmo himself was surprised because he felt that using something like this to send a message was really outdated. As for the people hired by Zhao Yener finally managed to find the whereabouts of Qianmo, they then reported his presence to Zhao Yener. After receiving the information, Zhao Yener then ordered them all to gather at the Management Association of Tianhai City. At Moling University Management Association, the students there were surprised to see a group of outstanding students gathering with Ding Hong as the leader. They were also surprised to see Gu Yunfei at the back of the group. They wondered if they were forming a group to defeat a certain field boss. Ding Hong's goal was certainly not for that. Instead, he gathered these people just to defeat Qianmo. Ding Hong then said to Gu Yunfei that he would rely on him later. Hearing that, Gu Yunfei only thought of letting this group of losers to come forward and test the situation first, and if Qianmo was really as strong as Ding Hong said, then he would fight with him 1 versus 1. Such a big movement certainly did not go unnoticed by the Management Association employee. He then reported the incident to Wu Zhonglei, the middle-level official of Tianhai City Management Association. He was shocked when he heard the report. He then ordered the employee named Xiao Zhang to follow them, then reported to him. Wu Zhonglei instantly felt a headache because of Ding Hong's behavior that could only cause trouble. He felt they should prevent him from causing another major incident today. After fishing for some time, now the bait owned by Qianmo is only 39 taels left. He is very confused because he did not get the dark shadow. Using 400 taels to fish for the dark shadow was the largest amount he had ever used in his world before. He used to be an emperor, so it was impossible for him to suddenly become just a tribal chief. In the middle of his musings, Ding Hong and his group finally approached him. Ding Hong then directly threatened that he would not be able to fish again today, but Qianmo didn't feel worried at all after seeing his arrival. Instead he mocked him for not being able to defeat him alone, and had to bring this many reinforcements. He never imagined the famous Moling University had such a unique tradition. Gu Yunfei, who saw his casual behavior, felt that he was an interesting guy. They then got angry when they heard Qianmo mocking their university. They then threatened to kill him until he returned to level 1, but Qianmo did not care about their threats at all, because his attention was immediately distracted when an unknown object suddenly hooked. He was happy because it finally appeared. They were then shocked when they saw a huge monster suddenly approaching them from the water. They had never seen a monster like this before. They wondered if it could be a hidden boss. They were surprised to see Qianmo had just caught it. The monster was Prince Nasjak, the elite chieftain of the dragon race, who had level 22. Gu Yunfei was also shocked to see that. He felt that if it was him, it would be difficult to kill it alone. He wondered if its appearance had something to do with Qianmo. After the shock, they then felt happy because of the appearance of a very rare boss. They happen to bring a lot of people today. After they kill it, the monster will definitely drop some extraordinary items. Seeing their greed, Qianmo then threw a few taels at them. They were not wrong about the extraordinary items, but they had to live first to collect them. The monster's attention was immediately diverted towards the taels and immediately rushed towards them. They then panicked seeing that, and they were completely unable to contain the overwhelming power of the monsters. Gu Yunfei did not panic and immediately used the ice seal technique. Gu Yunfei's attack successfully stopped the movement of the monster. He then told them to attack it. They then bombarded the monster using their attacks. After seeing that, Ding Hong then praised Gu Yunfei for fulfilling his reputation. Because only he with his extraordinary skills could stop the monster. He was also angry with Qianmo for daring to plot against them. He then said he would bring some people to kill Qianmo first and then come back to help them. When he saw the people who came to attack him, he felt that Ding Hong's group still had some brains, because they deployed 3 magic swordsmen to stop his movement. while the three mages behind prepared their attacks, but, no matter what flashy tactics they used, it was all useless in front of him. He then took out his spear and used the wide sweep skill towards them. Seeing the mages casting their magic, he then replaced his weapons with shurikens and threw them towards them using the shuriken throw. The throw managed to hit them and caused their magic casting to be interrupted. He then once again changed his weapon to a one-handed sword and attacked them using the full moon slash. The attack managed to knock them down. They were surprised that he could change his weapon so quickly. Even though his class was vagrant, it was still impossible to change his weapon so quickly. In the past, every time they fought vagrants, the vagrants took twice the time to change weapons compared to Qianmo. They were confused about how he did it, but their musings were then broken, because the monster suddenly managed to release the shackles given by Gu Yunfei. Because its health became low, the shackles were forcibly removed and it had entered the second phase, Berserk. The monster was furious and immediately attacked the ground below using its trident, causing them all to sink into the water. Qianmo was even happy when he saw the monster finally entered the second phase, because in the water, he was the champion.